Want to learn how to get perfect panel gaps on that restoration? Then keep watching this video to see how TC Penick at Bay One Customs does it. TC wowed the crowd at SEMA 2013 in Las Vegas with his amazing 1958 Cameo concept pickup truck that featured a ton of Eastwood products, most notably the Vino Rojo red paint that stopped everyone in their tracks. But what that truck really displayed was TC's amazing attention to detail, right down to the exact 5mm panel gaps. In this video, he uses Eastwood contour body filler to show you how he creates those perfect gaps. Let's check it out.
All right, I want to give a shout out to Mark and JR from Eastwood for coming by and seeing me yesterday. They came along with Kevin Tetz, come out and took a tour of the shop. We went over some of the products I'm using of theirs, and we had a great discussion on how to use them and the proper materials, and I had a lot of questions on their stuff. So a big shout out to them for taking the time to come all the way down here to see little old me. Meanwhile, I ordered all my materials for this Jaguar from Eastwood because I had such good success with the SEMA truck that we took to Las Vegas. Every product they used there was just outstanding. It was easy to get. They shipped it right to me. So these are some of the products that I'm going to use on the Jaguar. I'm using this Contour Premium Filler. Then I'm going to put the Contours polyester filler over top of that. Love doing that method because I can cut this with 36 grit real fast and level. I can shoot this on here. I get no shrinkage on this. I have to put very little reducer in it to get it on there, and I use a 2.0 tip. Sprays on nice. Then I can cut that with the 80 grit. Then I can come back with this 2K urethane. I can thin that down a little bit and spray over that, and then all I have to do is cut that with 400. So I can level with this. I get a little more leveling with this. It stops my shrinkage here. Put this on slick and wet. Then all I'm really doing is cutting out texture. Also, I ordered this seam sealer. I use this on the SEMA truck. I'm fixing to put floor pans in this. Love this black seam sealer. It's firm, kind of holds its place pretty well. It's easy to spread, easy to work with. Love that stuff. And I want to show you something else I think is really cool. Undercoat. And I'm a stickler for rust prevention. So I can take this and drill a little bitty hole or use the original weep holes in rocker panels and door posts and cab corners and stick this up in there, put it on my undercoat, and then just pull it through. It sprays 360 degrees, so it just coats the whole entire of that with my undercoats. So thanks Eastwood for such a great product. I'm fixing to get back at this. I'm going to show you some tricks on how to do cut the seam out and some of the methods, talk to you about some of the methods that I use on getting this filler on here nice and smooth. Well, you can see I'm doing my skim coat. Now I've actually skimmed this hood completely one good time, and then I blocked it down flat. I had a few little low spots in it, so I went ahead and I skimmed it one more time and I blocked it down again. It takes a lot of time doing that blocking, but I cut this with like 36 grit to go ahead and get it down and level, and then I'll put my Eastwood polyfill on top of this. So around my front, I've been fitting all this front, blocking and cutting and fitting all this side. So just a whole lot of body work going on. It's going to be like this for a few weeks. It's wipe it on and sand it off. But I'll give you a tip on this. If you'll put this filler in as smooth and as level as possible, it will save you a huge amount of time, because anywhere that you put it and it's a little bit low, you have to take it down to that spot, and you're going to have to recover it. And if you'll work it, I usually work my Bondo until I can't work it anymore. That way I can, it actually mixes it a little bit more, spreads it a little smoother, gets more of the pinholes out of it, and helps you lay it out smoother. I'll wipe it this way and I'll wipe it this way, and every time I spread it with that spreader, it's leveling it just a little bit more. So I'm going to get back at it here. I'm going to do some more sanding, then I'm going to show you a little trick on how to make a seam across the front here. All right, many times in these car shows you see how the body fitment on the door panels, the doors, and the fenders fit laser straight. I'm going to show you a quick little trick on how to get that done in the most efficient way possible without doing a bunch of metal work. You can go in here and fabricate the edges with steel and weld all that in, and the time you do all the fabricating and welding and all that, it's really not justified when you're only trying to gain just a millimeter or two. Case in point, this bonnet fits pretty tight down through here. It had a little bit of a variance in between this panel and this panel right on that edge. So what I did was I used a Duraglass pipe product, which is extremely strong, extremely rigid, and will not absorb moisture. Etches well to the metal, and it, like I said, extremely strong. So I put that in there low, and I think I talked about that in one of my previous videos. And then what I'm going to do is put my lightweight filler on top of it, over the edge of that, so I can do a sculpting in between the two. Now most people would wipe this face right here and then sand it out and wipe it and sand it, and you're sanding and wiping and you're doing a lot of work. You could spend almost a day on just this area doing it that way. I've got a trick for that, and that involves taking a paint paddle, taking a couple of razor blades. I put a screw through them to hold them in place. So when that paint paddle is right at about 4 millimeters. Now you can adjust the size of the thickness of the wood here, the paint paddle, to change your thickness, but I'm shooting for around a 4 or 5 millimeter gap, which always fits well and looks nice. So this will cut it at 4. Then I'll come back and sand that smooth. It'll put it right at 5. Then the time I do my polyfill, my primer, and all that's going to close back up to about 4. So paint paddle, 2 little razor blades. I've got a sandpaper stuck just to one side of my other paint paddle, and then I've got a spreader, and then also I am going to use this foam tape to fill in the back. So you're fixing to see how this works. Works like a champ. So to start off with, get my air gun. I'm gonna blow this out. Okay, now I went ahead and went here, and then all this has already been sanded. So now I'm doing a pre-clean to get the rest of that dust off of there. I just lightly dampen a towel with a little bit of pre-cleaner. Do not use wash cleaner, just pre-cleaner. And then where I'm going to put my foam tape and where my filler is going to be on that edge, I'm going to clean that really, really nice. Get that clean. I'm going to get my foam tape. Pull it out. And then I'm going to put it right down through here to keep the filler from squeezing in between my jam. All right, now I got my foam in place on my pre-cleaned area right there. And you can see now, when I wipe that, I'll be able to wipe across that. My filler's going to go down in there just a little bit. So I'm going to latch this so that it's the exact location. Now I've been spreading for a few days, so I already know about how much filler I can get on and work out. So you need to make a good judgment of that and try to mix the same amount each time. If you mix up your filler and it gets hard before you get time to spread it all out, you can either reduce the hardener a little bit, or you can just mix up a little less. But you need enough time to get all this filler on there so you don't waste any, and give yourself plenty of time to work that filler down smooth and level. If you can take the time to make it more smooth, more level it is, you will have to way less sanding. Here we go with the spread. Now you can save yourself a bunch of time in what I'm fixing to do. I know I've got about enough time to do this. If it's humid outside, which here in Tennessee there's a lot of humidity, this stuff tends to seem to want to fire off a little faster. So here we go. I'm going to do one seam at a time. I'm going to do this one up, and then I'm going to do that one across next. That way I have just the right sweet spot on cutting this. I want this to be to the consistency of cheese. As it's setting up, it's going to set up and be about the same consistency as sliced cheese, and I'll be able to wheel right through it with my little cutter I made. So I'm going to spread this out really, really smooth. A little bit on this fender. And you see, the amount I put out here is just about right, because that's going to give me a minute to really work this in real nice and smooth. Just like using that DA to level it, I can use the width of this pad. So every time I spread it, I'm leveling a little bit, so I can come across it and level. And the more I do this, I'm actually still mixing it. I'm removing pinholes and really tightening it up and bonding it against this metal. But only mixing up that small amount is allowing me to really work this in smooth. It shouldn't take me long at all to cut this down. Alright, now look at how smooth that is getting. I am leveling and saving myself a huge amount of sanding time. I'm just lightly dragging that over that. Alright, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to wipe this edge down a little bit because I'm going to do another spread up here. And the smoother I have this filler at the top, the easier it'll be for me to do my blend off of it. I'm going to spread again right over there just a little bit. So this will give me time to get all this off, and we'll clean this off. And then by the time I get this cleaned off, this ought to be set up enough to where I can cut it, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with this cut. Alright, I've been sitting here waiting and watching. I didn't want to leave it because when it fires off, it's going to happen fast. It seems like it's just right. So what I'm going to do is fall up against the bonnet. I know the bonnet is the edge that I'm looking to mimic. And I'm going to take this blade, and then it's going to slice through here like butter. Now, if you miss this window and it sets up, it's pretty tough to fix. You have to come in here with a probably a cutoff tool or something and fix it. You can see right there. You just pull that right out. And then I'll open this hood up. I'm gonna go ahead and do this one and this one up here, and then I'll open this hood up and pull that foam out, and then I'll take that sandpaper I showed you and I'll sand this back a little bit, and then once I get that up, it'll be just a hint of a little edge right there. I'm gonna come back and mix up my filler, and I'm gonna back wipe that edge, and then it ought to be it'll be a perfect fit. So. Alright, I've got this cut down now. I wanted to show you, after I took my razor cutter and I cut that out, I showed you how to pull that out of there. Well, I normally don't do that at that point because I'll leave the foam in there. I'll go ahead and cut it. I'll leave the foam in there, but I'll leave that little piece in there. That way, when I'm doing my blocking, it just helps support that a little bit so it doesn't turn these edges as bad. Then once I get this cut pretty flat, then I'll take that thing out of there. Once I get it out of there, I take my paint paddle that has only sandpaper on one side. That gives me about 4 millimeters, 5 millimeters. So if you want it thinner, a tighter millimeter gap, then you can thin this board down. And how I determine the millimeter gap is you can set a door or you can set a trunk in place, and then you'll know what the factory spec is. So once I get this in place, I measure these opening, see what I got, and then say if there's 8 total, then you know it's a 4 millimeter gap on the car factory, and then you can go from there. But once you get it in place, put the board side against the side you're trying to reproduce, and then you just come through there and sand it down and block it out. And then once you get it blocked out, it's perfectly fit down through there. So after I do that, raise your piece up, and you'll see there's just the most hint of a little bit of a ledge there. It's not even a 1/2 millimeter of a ledge. I can take my my filler and mix it up real nice, and I just back wipe that right in there real nice, real tight. That's after I clean that. I always clean that and sand that and clean that. Sand it first and then pre-clean it, get it real nice and clean. And then when you back wipe it, then take that and all the way around that, hold it tight against there, and it'll smear it just perfectly in there. And then you come back and sand that a little bit, and then when you get all done, you have a perfect gap. So for years I've done it the other way of wiping here and wiping there and sanding. It just takes forever, and you never get that true line. This method, when you cut that, it is going to be a laser straight line and look absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to do a little more work on this, and then I'm going to go up here and next week show you how the Chevelle console and stuff is coming. So let's get back to work.